Right now, yes, you, the one scrolling late at night with a heavy heart, or the one who just needed a little hope today. I want you to join me right here, right now, and promise you'll stay with me until the very last word. Because what you're about to hear isn't just a story, it's a mirror to the quiet battles we all fight, the locked doors we keep in our own basements, and the simple question that can crack them open forever. Imagine you're the one holding the wrench, the one who could walk away, but you don't. Stick with me till the end, because by the time we finish, you might just see your neighbor, your own pain, or even your future in a brand new light. This is the story of how one ordinary repair turned into the most extraordinary second chance of all. Let's dive in together. Nathan Carter wiped the sweat from his forehead with the back of his calloused hand, his toolbox clinking softly as he descended the narrow wooden stairs into Rebecca Lawson's basement. It was a typical Tuesday afternoon in their quiet Midwestern neighborhood, the kind where kids rode bikes until the streetlights flickered on and neighbors waved over hedges without ever really knowing each other's secrets. Nathan was 42, a divorced plumber who had learned the hard way that fixing pipes was easier than fixing hearts. His own marriage had ended 3 years earlier when his wife left, saying she couldn't compete with the ghosts of his past, the son he lost to a sudden illness when the boy was only 8. Nathan carried that grief like an old wrench in his pocket, heavy, familiar, and never quite set down. But work kept him moving, and when Rebecca, the soft-spoken widow next door, called about a leaking pipe flooding her basement, he didn't hesitate. Be there in 20, he had texted, the same way he'd helped half the block over the years. The basement smelled of damp concrete and faint lavender from the dryer sheets piled on a shelf. Water pooled near the water heater, and Nathan got to work, humming an old country tune under his breath to fill the silence. Rebecca hovered at the top of the stairs, her hands twisting the hem of her faded blue sweater. She was in her late 30s, with tired eyes that still held a spark of the teacher she used to be before life got too heavy. "Thank you again, Nathan," she called down, her voice gentle but edged with something he couldn't quite name. "I don't know what I'd do without good neighbors like you." He smiled up at her, flashlight beam dancing across the pipes. "Just doing what any decent person would, Rebecca. We all need a hand sometimes." He tightened a fitting, wiped his hands on his jeans, and that's when he heard it, a muffled sound from behind the far wall, where a heavy wooden door stood bolted with a shiny new padlock. It wasn't the creak of settling foundation or the drip of water. It was a low, broken sob, followed by the faint strumming of a guitar, chords so raw they made the air feel thicker. Nathan froze, his wrench hovering mid-air. "Rebecca, is someone down here?" The silence that followed stretched like a frayed rope. She came down the stairs slowly, her slippers whispering against the wood, and stood beside him, eyes fixed on that locked door. Her face paled under the bare bulb light, and for the first time, Nathan noticed the dark circles that makeup couldn't hide. It's my son, Caleb," she whispered, as if saying the name too loud might shatter everything. "He's 25. He doesn't come out much anymore." Nathan set the wrench down carefully, his plumber's instincts kicking in, not for pipes this time, but for the crack in her voice. He had fixed enough broken homes to recognize when the damage ran deeper than leaks. "Everything okay?" He sounded hurt. The guitar stopped abruptly, replaced by a shuffle of feet and then silence again, like the room behind the door had swallowed the sound whole. Rebecca's hands trembled as she reached for the padlock, not unlocking it, just touching it like a talisman. Tears welled in her eyes, the kind that had been held back for years. "He made a mistake, Nathan. A terrible one. 3 years ago, he was driving home from a party. He'd had too much to drink. There was a crash. His best friend, my godson, Tommy, didn't make it. Caleb survived, but the guilt, it ate him alive. He served his time, came home, but he locked himself in that room the day he got out. Says the world doesn't need to see his face. Says he doesn't deserve to breathe the same air as the rest of us." Her voice cracked, and she looked at Nathan with eyes that begged for understanding. I feed him through the slot in the door. He plays that guitar sometimes at night when the pain gets too loud. I've tried everything, therapists, prayers, even yelling through the wood until my throat bled. Nothing works. He's my boy, Nathan, but he's drowning in there, and I can't reach him. Nathan felt the weight of his own lost son settle heavier in his chest. He thought of the empty bedroom at home, the tiny shoes he still couldn't throw away. Relatable pain, the kind that makes strangers into mirrors. He didn't know Caleb, but in that moment, behind that locked door, he saw a version of himself, the man who had almost locked his own heart away after the funeral. "I'm sorry," he said softly. That's a heavy load for both of you." Rebecca wiped her tears with the sleeve of her sweater and turned to him fully. The basement light caught the desperation in her face, making her look younger and older all at once. Then she asked the question, the one that would change everything. Her voice was barely above a whisper, but it landed like a hammer on his heart. "Nathan, do you believe people can get a second chance? Not just on paper, not just from a judge, but really? From someone who stays? Would you stay and try? Just for a little while?" The words hung in the damp air between them. Nathan's first instinct was to step back, to say he had his own repairs to finish, his own ghosts to chase. But something in her eyes, mirroring the hope he had lost, stopped him. He glanced at the locked door, imagining the broken young man on the other side, guitar strings still vibrating from that sorrowful melody. I don't know if I'm the right guy," he admitted, rubbing the back of his neck. "But yeah, Rebecca. I believe in second chances. Lost mine once. Maybe it's time I helped someone else find theirs." That was the moment the hook caught him, and caught you, too, my friends. Because who among us hasn't stood at a locked door, wondering if knocking one more time could make a difference? The next few weeks tested everything Nathan thought he knew about kindness. He started small, the way you fix a slow leak, drop by drop. Every evening after work, he'd bring dinner, homemade lasagna one night, burgers the next, sliding the plates through the narrow slot in the door with a quiet, "Hey, Caleb. Name's Nathan. Neighbor. Your mom says you like cheese on everything." At first, there was only silence. Then one night, the plate came back empty. No thank you, no words, just gone. Nathan sat on the cold basement floor outside the door for an hour, talking anyway. He shared stories about his own mistakes, the time he worked too many nights and missed his son's baseball games, the guilt that still kept him up at 3 a.m. "We all carry weights we think no one else can see," he said through the wood. But sometimes, letting one person carry a corner of it makes the load lighter. Caleb's challenges poured out slowly, like water finding cracks. One stormy night, Nathan heard the guitar again, this time angry, strings snapping under furious strums. He knocked gently. "Sounds like you're fighting the music instead of playing it, son." From inside came the first words, a bitter laugh. "What do you know about fighting, old man? I killed my best friend. Tommy was supposed to be my best man at a wedding someday. Now he's in the ground because I was too stupid to call a cab." The pain in Caleb's voice was raw, relatable to anyone who has ever regretted one split-second decision. Nathan didn't argue. He just sat there until the rain stopped and shared his own loss, the night his son's fever spiked and the ambulance came too late. Guilt doesn't give refunds, Caleb. But it doesn't have to be the only thing you pay with for the rest of your life. Rebecca watched from the stairs some nights, her heart breaking and healing in the same breath. Her challenge was letting go of control, stopping the midnight checks on the slot, trusting Nathan's steady presence. "I've been his jailer and his mother at the same time," she confessed to Nathan one afternoon in the kitchen upstairs, coffee cooling between them. "You're showing me what real help looks like." But doubt crept in for all of them. Caleb rejected the next 3 meals, shouting through the door that he didn't deserve visitors. Nathan went home those nights questioning everything, staring at his own empty house, wondering if he was just delaying the inevitable. Yet the small acts piled up like bricks in a foundation. Nathan left a new set of guitar strings outside the door one morning with a note, "These don't break as easy as we do. Try them." Caleb used them. Another day, Nathan brought an old photo album Rebecca had dug out, pictures of Caleb and Tommy as kids, laughing at a lake. He slid it through. That night, for the first time, Caleb played a soft melody that wasn't angry. It was a song Tommy used to love. Resolution flickered, not full light yet, but a crack in the dark. Months blurred together, but Nathan never missed an evening. The basement became their unlikely sanctuary, the locked door a thin barrier that kindness slowly dissolved. Caleb's challenges deepened before they eased. One freezing winter night, he confessed everything through the wood, the nightmares where Tommy's face appeared in the windshield, the letters from Tommy's parents that he couldn't bring himself to open, the way he had pushed away every friend who tried to visit. "I'm not worth your time, Nathan," he said, voice hoarse from crying. "You've got your own life. Go fix someone else's pipes." Nathan leaned his head against the door, feeling the chill of the metal lock against his temple. This was the hardest challenge, facing rejection from someone he had grown to care about like the son he lost. His own grief surged back, but he pushed through. "I'm not here to fix you, Caleb. I'm here because your mom asked a question that reminded me I still have a heart that works. And yeah, it hurts to stay sometimes. But walking away? That hurts more." He shared the resolution he had found in his own pain, volunteering at a youth center, teaching kids to build birdhouses so they wouldn't make the same mistakes he did. Second chances aren't given, son. They're built, one honest conversation, one shared meal, one night you choose to stay at a time. Rebecca's role evolved too. She stopped hovering and started joining Nathan on the basement floor some nights, the three of them connected by the door like a fragile family. Her challenge was forgiveness, not just for Caleb, but for herself. "I blamed myself for not noticing he was struggling before the crash," she admitted one evening, tears flowing freely now that the dam had cracked. Nathan held her hand silently, and together they listened as Caleb strummed a new song he had written, lyrics about roads that bend back home if you're brave enough to turn around. The turning point came on a quiet spring evening, exactly 6 months after that first repair. Nathan arrived with takeout Chinese and a small toolbox, not for pipes, but for the padlock. He hadn't planned it, but something in Caleb's voice the night before, "I think I'm ready to breathe real air again," gave him courage. Rebecca stood beside him, heart pounding. "Caleb," Nathan said through the door, "your mom asked me if people deserve second chances. I'm here to say yes. But it's time you answered it for yourself. I brought tools. If you want, we can open this door together. No pressure. Your choice." Silence stretched for what felt like forever. Then the bolt slid from the inside. The door creaked open slowly, revealing Caleb, pale, thin, eyes red from years of hiding, but holding a guitar like a lifeline. He stepped out into the basement light for the first time in 3 years, blinking like a man reborn. Tears streamed down his face as he looked at his mother, then at Nathan. I don't know how to thank you," he whispered. "But I'm here. I'm trying." The embrace that followed was raw and real, Rebecca sobbing into her son's shoulder, Nathan standing back with a lump in his throat, feeling his own healed scars tingle. They sat on the basement steps that night, eating cold Chinese food, talking until dawn. Caleb opened Tommy's parents' letters with Nathan's hand on his shoulder. They weren't angry, they were forgiving. "Tommy would want you to live," one read. That was the full resolution, not erasing the past, but carrying it forward as fuel for good. Caleb started playing guitar at a local shelter the next month, turning his pain into songs that helped other struggling kids. Rebecca went back to teaching part-time, her smile returning like spring after winter. And Nathan? He finally cleared out his son's old room, not with sadness, but with peace, knowing he had honored that little boy's memory by saving another. My friends, as we reach the end of this journey together, I hope you feel it too, the way one simple act in a basement cracked open 3 lives and let the light in. Nathan didn't have superpowers. He just stayed. He answered Rebecca's question with action, and in doing so, proved that second chances aren't fairy tales, they're built by ordinary people who refuse to walk away. Caleb's story shows us that no mistake is too big for grace when someone believes in you long enough. And Rebecca reminds us that mothers, and all of us, don't have to carry the weight alone. So here's the inspiring truth I want you to carry into your week: you might be someone's Nathan today. There's a locked door in your neighborhood, your family, or even your own heart. Knock. Slide a meal through. Stay. Ask the question. Because the power of kindness isn't loud or flashy, it's the quiet decision to show up again and again until the door opens. You never know whose life you're repairing, or whose second chance you're holding in your hands. Thank you for joining me all the way to the end. If this story moved you, drop a comment: who's your Rebecca or Caleb? And remember, you matter. You can be the one who changes everything. See you in the next story, friends. Stay kind out there.